Alright, well this is Aaron Squire coming to you guys again this week. I think we're in episode 35. 35 episodes of Deck Building with the Squire. Who knew that we were going to make it this far? But tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. We've got, of course, the Hex update, which just was released a couple of hours ago. Some unnamed council, the PVE guild unnamed council put together some PVE content for their guild to try out, and they may be allowing other people to try that out soon. And then, of course, we're going to do this deck doctor with a Cosmic Transmogrifier tonight. So let's go ahead, and we have no guest on tonight. That's unfortunate, but Deck Building with the Squire would like to remind everyone that if you are a Hex content producer, and that means anything, like you could have a blog, you could have some sort of a show like I have, you could do like, you could write articles, you could even just retweet people. Like I had somebody this week that I was trying to get on the show, and they were a little bit skittish about it. All they do is retweet people. If that's all you do, I mean, that's still content, that's still valuable to the community. So anybody that's doing content, they're always welcome to come on the show. Just contact me either through my YouTube or through Twitter or through Twitch TV. One of the, any ways that you can contact me, go ahead and do it. Even, send me a message in game. I'll try to make sure it is that I'm picking up on that. But yeah, hopefully next time we will have a guest on next week, possibly Infamous Neo. It sounds like his schedule is opened up, and so we'll see him on. Moving on to the news. We've got some stuff with the Hex update, so we'll just go ahead and roll that all the way back up to the top there. And they're talking about the World Cup. I know a lot of people are really hot on this World Cup. I really don't pay that much attention to it myself. It looks like they've got people all over the map, as it were, talking about the World Cup. So I guess if I had to throw my hat in the into the circle somewhere, I would choose the USA. That's who I would hope would win. Of course, they probably aren't, because I'm told that they aren't really that good. I have a guy at work that says he's rooting for Germany. So whoever you're rooting for, have some fun with it. Enjoy the games this weekend as that's all going on. But moving on to some of the other stuff, we had a patch that was supposed to come this week, but it's getting pushed to next week. This is the Auction House patch, the patch that we've all been waiting for, to see that Auction House come up and go live, so we can finally maybe get some of those cards that we're missing out of our collections. And it just got pushed back, and it got pushed back because of usability. And so for some people, they may or may not understand exactly what usability means in games, and I'll just give you a quick example. So let's say you're playing a real-time strategy game, and everybody knows that when you right-click and hold, it's going to make that nice little box so you can select your units, and then you left-click to, it's left-click to make the box, right-click to move the troops, right? Well, if it's left click, if you swap those, that would be a usability problem with a lot of people, because they would be used to it being the other way. So things like that, what they're probably talking about is a graphical thing where it's stacking the cards, and so they're hard to see. I guess that's what the problem is. So they felt like that was enough, or it's technical, I guess, more than that, but they felt like that was enough to push it back, and so they had, that's their prerogative. But I guess it was working. It just wasn't working to the level that they wanted it at. So let them put a little bit more polish on it, and hopefully we'll see it next week. Keep your fingers crossed. Moving on, they talk about some of the rewards. So just for playing in the alpha, you're going to get these wonderfully, nicely crafted Hex sleeves. So I know a lot of people that were even Kickstarter backers got their alpha accounts and didn't even log in. So for all the people that went in and went through the pain of playing in alpha, there's your reward. You get some nice sleeves. Now, there was some talk at some point in time where they were saying if you played in a tournament in alpha and you won a tournament, you were going to get something for that. I'm not sure that they actually kept enough records of that to make that happen or not. I really haven't heard anything else. That was like a one time I heard it like off the cuff in chat when I was playing in alpha, so not sure if that's going to be a thing or not. But we all, all us alpha players like myself and most of the Hex CCG Pro guild crew, they're going to have these wonderful alpha player sleeves. Moving on to some of the other problems, I guess the Slacker backers weren't getting their full decks. They were supposed to get 2 decks and they weren't getting it, and so they're going to get 1,000 platinum. Now this is really awesome to me because there's a chance you may not want to spend that platinum on another deck. You may just want to draft with it, and I think that's a really good middle ground for them to do. So all the slacker backers out there, of course, I have another account that was a slacker backer I got from my wife, and it still doesn't work. So hopefully everything will be updated to that. Beyond that, going to last year's Gen Con, some Gen Con news here. With Cryptozoic being out there, they talk about how it is that the codes weren't in the system yet from last year. There were some codes that they gave out for the Portentio, the Gax, the Jadiim, and the Azawa, and I have to dig through my email for some of these because the Portentio and the Gax, those were cards. In fact, I still have those sitting on my desk right here, not even opened, and I'll be giving some Gaxes away eventually. And a Portentio, this is my Portentio. You guys can't have that, but that is those codes weren't even active until after this patch, or soon they'll be active. But this year, 2014 Gen Con, which I will be at, they talk about how it is that they'll do the open gaming, and then they are going to do the drafts. Now, it looks like I just looked through the schedule today, and all the drafts are sold out. They do say that right here. They sold out, I guess, within hours. I did not get into one of these. They were only $8 a piece. So, I mean, it's really difficult. So the nice thing, when you're playing with a physical card game, this is another physical versus digital card game, right? Digital card game, you need to have equipment. We need to have computers right now, and maybe in the future it'll be nicer where all you need is to have some sort of a tablet or something. But right now we need computers, and so because of that, the space is limited, and they probably need to make sure it is that they're running people through the lines to get the other prizes. So I hope that whatever it is that the people are getting, for the drafts, I hope that's just going to be cards. Maybe on their accounts and not special promos, because those are so limited. I mean, we're only talking about maybe let's see, 8 times 6, which would be 48, maybe 48, or maybe one more than that, maybe 56 players. And some of those people, for $8 a draft, I can draft every single draft and not break the bank. So, I mean, I'm sure that some people bought multiple drafts at multiple days, especially if they're going to Gen Con for the Cryptozoic portion. So I hope that they're fair about that, or maybe they're talking about having some more after hours, because once Gen Con starts, it does not stop. You can draft Magic the Gathering there 24 hours a day. So last year they actually had to close down the LAN, all the computers basically at night, and they had to station a guard there because lots of expensive computers. Last year they also had the Alienware computers, so big thank you to Alienware for providing those. I guess that they didn't even, I think that I was told that they didn't even loan them out. They didn't have to pay for them. Alienware just wanted to get their name out there, so as long as they returned them in good working order, that was fine. So we'll see what kind of a hardware they have this year. Maybe Alienware again, which was pretty nice. So I don't know if there's too much more to say besides, I did pick up my first event. Last year I went to the Drunk Ass Games, which is actually a dinner. There's only 2 tickets left, so if you want to hang out with me at that's on Saturday, is the one I picked up. It's a little bit pricey, and you get 2 drinks with it, and then you have to pay for all your alcohol after that. So you kind of it's a little bit pricey. I mean, you're going to come out of the evening maybe $60 or $70, but it's a great time. It's one of my favorite memories from last year. It's where I got to meet a guy that looks a lot like the guy that plays Wolverine in the X-Men. So moving on to the Unnamed Council. So we've got the Unnamed Council is I guess they're kind of like a premier PVE-ish type of guild, and on their last week when I was just hanging out playing some of my games, I saw that I had Flying Meat Chip, one of my viewers, came into my channel and talked about how they were doing their own PVE content, and so you could tweet to them to find out about it. But you can see that they had people within their own guild where they were doing their own content. As far as I understand it, they had teams of 3, and each person on the team had 3 lives. Where if you lose, that's you lose a life. and then you had to work through these 4 modules that you see here. You can't see the ones on the ends because they're kind of on the ends, but it's pretty interesting. There are some deck list restrictions when you were building your deck, like they could only have so many rares and legendaries in their deck, and then as they leveled up, basically as they went from one module to the next to the next to the next, they would earn the right to put more rare cards or other cards in their deck. So they kind of built a leveling system into their PvE content. So hopefully, once they iron out all the bugs and all this stuff, they'll open this up to some of the other Hex players in the community and make this more of a community thing. I think that would be a really awesome thing that they could do. I think that they are looking at doing that. They are trying to build themselves up as one of the premier PvE guilds, as I understand it, and I think they're doing a great job out there. So make sure to check them out and give them some props for what they're doing out there. I think that's a really good thing for the Hex community. So really quick, I mean, through the news of the day, not a whole lot actually, and of course I didn't have anyone on to interview, so we're going to kind of go right into the Cosmic Transmogrifier deck here. So first things first, I did tweet out some things and asked some people. The tweet came from, I believe it was from, what's his name? Oh, I'm going to have to check it now. I have it right over here. It was from Outlandish Matt. He said, you know what, I think that you should try to do a Cosmic Transmogrifier deck. So he challenged me to do this deck. So we're going to see how how good I can maybe do at building a deck like this. But Aswan Jaguar has already built a deck like this, so let's check out his build first. So it looks like he's running, his curve isn't actually that bad for being, a deck like this. I actually not too, he's got Wyatt the Sapper to draw him some more cards. He's running 24, I'm guessing he's running the playset of, no, he's not running the playset of Shards of Fate, which is not really on board with that, but he's running 24 shards, which is probably fine, considering his curve is pretty high. He's also running a playset of Hex engines, so those are a lot like resource acceleration and some induction coils as well to get him up there. So he may not even have to run that many resources, but he should be perfectly fine doing so. Running the playset of Cosmic Transmogrifier. And so for the people that don't know, this card is a permanent or a constant that sits on the table, and you pay 3, and it says transform each artifact, constant, and troop into a random artifact, constant, troop with the same cost. So when we're building the deck, we really need to kind of see what's out there. This is a card that's already pretty clunky to play, honestly, and it's going to be it's going to get worse as we get more sets in the game, unless it restricts itself to the sets that are current. So like, if you played in some sort of like legacy format, it's going to use every card available to it. But if it's in some sort of at least block constructed, at least you'll have some idea of the cards it can pull. Also notice that it's going to transform itself. So you're going to get a 5-drop of some sort. So we need to look at that and see what it's going to be pulling itself. So he's running the the playset of that. He's got a bunch of Bird of Plenty in here, which are 6 costs, which is another one that would be an interesting target for Cosmic Transmogrifier, because we could turn that into a lot of interesting 6 drops. And then he's got Prophet of Lodegan. This is interesting because he is going to make echoes of himself, and all of his echoes look just like him, so they're all 7 costs. So if he actually gets the combo off of playing Prophet and then playing Cosmic Transmogrifier, he's going to get 4 7-drops, random 7-drops, but still chances of his cards outclassing yours are pretty good if he's playing 4 7-drops. So that's the classic combo that we see here. We'll probably end up putting Prophet in our deck. Hex Engine's really important too. He's also sweeping out the board with Extinction. He's got Life Siphon in here. Doesn't really affect board states. I'm not sure that I still am not really on board with playing Life Siphon that much, honestly. The 4 Murder, pretty solid. He's got some Peak. He's only running 2 Peak. The Chronic Madness, I think, is a little bit questionable. I'm not sure why that's in here. It's not a permanent. It's not helping him get anywhere. I'm trying to figure out what he's doing with the Chronic Madness in this deck. I'm not sure what that's doing in here. And then he's got the 3 Countermagic, which you kind of want to make sure you have in most combo decks that run Sapphire to protect your combo if you feel like someone's going to respond to it in some way. He's downstairs. He's fine. Actually he's just talking. Yeah, he's just talking down there. So he's perfectly fine actually. That's the baby Zachary. That's baby Zachary. He's actually sitting up now. So that's pretty exciting. So let's go to our deck that we built, that we're going to be building off of. So starting off with the playset of Cosmic Transmogrifier, let's look at what are some of the cards that we can end up with here. So in the PvP, click on that one. And again, this is the Hex TCG browser and deck builder. Excellent site for building decks. It gives you a lot of stats and different things. Mr. Bogdan, hook him up with some beer. He's in Romania, I believe. I believe he lives in Romania. Okay, so we're definitely playing with Sapphire. So I think we're just going to look at costs is what we're going to do. So we want to see what the Transmogrifier is going to hit. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to single out the troops, the constants, the artifacts, and that's it. We're going to look at all of those and see what are some of the things we can get. So we're going to look at one cost. And so not so many great things here. We could end up with a Pack Raptor. We could end up, we could turn a Sapphire Shard into something. Ancestors Chosen wouldn't be too bad. Gas Troll probably wouldn't do a whole lot for us. Hop Hero, maybe something. We're really not seeing a lot here. Giant Caterpillar, maybe something. Probably the best thing we could draw is maybe Pack Raptor. If we ended up throwing enough of them in the deck or something, and we could draw them back somehow with card drawing to get that card advantage. So not the best in the 1-drop zone. Going up to the 2-drop zone, here's some of the things we could draw with the 2-drops. We could get a Chaos Key, excellent. Soul Marble, I mean, we saw a lot of game-winning decks that were running Soul Marble, so that's a big deal. And the reason why we're looking at these is because we want to play some like token-esque type things with that Prophet of Lodegan, because that's what it's doing. It's doing a lot of like token-esque type of things where we're getting lots of troops at that level. So if we could play something that like Runts of the Litter gives us 2 1-cost runts, we could turn those into a lot of 1-drops, but a lot of the 1-drops we would get are not the best already. So but 2-drops, we got Soul Marble, Chaos Key, those are all really good. Shrine of Prosperity, he is main decking in the other one. Cerulean Mirror Knights, excellent card. Thunderbird's a pretty strong card. Librarian could do okay for us because it could draw us some more cards. Rooster Sword could do some things. Wildeboars also could do some things. Paladin, probably not so much because we don't have enough life gain in the deck. I mean, maybe if we happen to run across some life gain. Sensei's going to draw us a card. That's not, well, no, it won't, because it's not coming into play. It's transforming it, so we actually won't get the trigger. So probably not the best there. Living Totem's been an excellent card for a lot of decks, so it would be really good to run across one of those. Guard Scout's actually not bad as a blocker. What else have we got to look at? Construction Plans. I was actually thinking possibly about going into Dwarves on this deck because we get a lot of token production in Dwarves. Protectorate Defender. Now, another big problem with this deck is, say we pull a Protectorate Defender, it's going to be ungemmed. That's kind of a big problem because now he just becomes this vanilla 2/1 that dies and shuffles into our deck, which is pretty bad. Priestess isn't too bad. Lord Ben isn't too bad. If we happen to have humans in our deck, but we probably won't. Puck, maybe. Okay, so in the 2-drop zone, we hit on like maybe 5 or 6 cards that were decent. What do we got in the 3-drop zone? Well, we've got the Corpse Slide, but it's transforming, so we won't get the trigger off of that. Zombie Plagues could be pretty excellent. I think that they just stepped it up from 2 to 3, so yeah, that's correct. Blessing of the Fallen's probably not going to do very much for us. Lord Alex is not bad. He's pretty good. He's also a solid 3/3 body for us. Briar Legion, probably not going to be the greatest unless we happen to transform 2 of them, which is very low odds that that's going to happen. Root Dancer could be pretty good to buff something. Buccaneer, again, not coming into play, so we won't get the trigger off of them. Spirit of Cloud Knights, another card that's been overshadowed by a lot of cards, but still a very solid card that we could end up with. Reginald, I don't know, it could randomly win games, but it's a solid 3/3 body. Claw of the Mountain God's a pretty solid body as well, although it could end up losing the game for us. Banshee's got some evasion. Lixel's not coming into play, so she does nothing. So we're just kind of trying to weigh what range is going to be our optimal range for this card, for this Cosmic Transmogrifier. Solitary Exile is pretty solid, but again, it's not coming into play, so we won't get the trigger off of it. We could play them in our deck, though, and hope that they turn into something. So there's that. The problem is that when it... So let's see, hold on. So it says when it enters play, when it leaves play. So the way I read this is, let's say that Solitary Exile placed something out of play, like, you know, somebody's Cerulean Mentalist, and then we cast our thing. So it's still placing this out of play. It transforms into, let's say, like Oath of Valor. Our opponent destroys the new card, Oath of Valor. He should, in theory, actually get his Cerulean Mentalist back at that point in time. So he won't get it back when it's transformed, because it will transform the card. It's not actually leaving play, so it should be pretty okay. And that is something that Outlandish Matt mentioned when he was talking about the deck. He said, you know, maybe Sapphire Diamond would be a good direction to go with this deck. And so now I can see what he was saying, because I was thinking to myself before I even looked at the cards and read them that there was a chance that if it left play, that it would return the card to play. So I'm pretty sure that's how it should work, but that would take some play testing to really figure out. And then even then, you know, it might even be worth submitting a bug report if you feel like it's wrong, the way it ends up playing in the game. The 4-point range is some of the most powerful cards we've seen in the game right now, in my opinion. So we've seen, as far as like for the cost, you know, trade-off, we've got the wonderful Vampire King, Ascetic Aspirant, which could set us up for, you know, a lot of, you know, basically a win. You know, as long as you transform him and get that to happen. Turtle Wall is not that great, but Zoltog is pretty good. Eurig is also really good. This is a card I was thinking, if I've run robots, maybe I'll run this card to throw some robots and level them up type of deck. So I think that might be the direction we'll go. Inquisitor is actually still not that bad, even though it's not going to come in gemmed when we end up doing our Transmogrifier, if we do a Transmog for 4. Because we can still block with it, and it still is just really a pest to deal with. Archmage Renlock, not too bad. We might be playing with a lot of type of cards that are going to, you know, play them out, like Peak and that type of thing, to get to our combo. Hex Engine, of course, is going to probably be main decked in the deck. In fact, we'll just throw those in there right now. I can almost guarantee I'm going to play with a playset of these in the deck, because they dodge Extinction. And Extinction is probably going to be another big card in the deck. Another card that would be interesting in this deck is Royal Falconer, as it puts in those tokens. Of course, the Falcons themselves are 3 cost. Yes, they're cost 3. So do keep that in mind if you decide to go into the Ruby direction with this deck. Wizard of Silver Talon is going to give us another troop as well, but we're going to end up with Silver Talon Senator. Again, the 2 drops aren't too bad. We could end up with a Soul Marble or something like that if we do Transmog with a Silver Talon Senator up. Okay, so moving on. Domain Demolisher could be okay for us. Citizenry is not coming into play, so it's pretty worthless. Eldritch Streamer will deal some damage, and again, even though it's not gemmed, it's going to be pretty good for us. Incantation of Ascendance is another one I was thinking about possibly main decking in here, because it doesn't have to worry about Extinction for quite some time, and so you can Extinction and then let this thing go off, and then it's going to turn into this Lightning Armada, which also costs 4. That's another card that I guess could pop up in the 4-point range. Another great 4-point card. Lord Adam, probably he's an okay body. That's pretty much it. And then Jankbot, I don't think that's in the game yet. That's in set 2, I believe. So there you go on the 4-point range. Let's actually look at some of the 7 drops before we continue. What we could possibly get out of Prophet. So I'm going to just kind of skip ahead here. Oh, actually, we'll look at the 5 drops, but we're going to get one of these no matter what, because Cosmic Transmogrifier is a 5 cost to begin with. So Menacing Grulk, not the best because it's not coming into play. Tatalka, though, really good. Gwain's not going to do very much. Tarrasque might be okay. Of course, if we're playing dwarves, we could play Volcannons, and those could turn into some things in the deck, which, you know, could be pretty exciting. Jadiim, always a good card to have in the deck. She's pretty excellent. Of course, Angel of Dawn, another amazing 5-drop that we could produce. Infiltrator Bot isn't even that bad, really, because, you know, it just keeps pushing damage. I mean, this is a high draft card. It's got that evasive property to it. Monkey could be okay for us because we could actually monkey our own stuff, turn it into a 5-drop, and then transmogrify. So you could use it in that way. Like if we're playing with the dwarf guy, we could make some dwarf robots and then make them into Monkey the Ninetails and then transmogrify. And now we have 2 different 5-drops. Wendango's okay. It's not going to do as much as it does when it's gemmed. Crown of the Primordials is pretty good. And Manti Elder Druid. I mean, we're kind of like playing almost like this deck that we could end up with 5 colors or 5 shards of things on the table, even though we're not really going to be playing 5 shards. So let's go skip ahead to the 7-drop range because in the 6-drop, you got King Gabe, Izumi. What else we got? Battle Beetle, but it's not as good when it's not gemmed. Of course, the old Fist, and then Squirrel Titan's pretty bad here. So that's what your Bird of Plenty could turn into if we decide to run those. We might run maybe like 2 Bird of Plenty. Okay, so the 7-drop, this Prophet could turn into Urnaz, which is maybe the best thing that could happen with it. We could also end up with a Storm Colossus, and then when set 2 comes out, we could get Zidu, which is that Sapphire Dragon. That's I believe he creates copies of cards in your opponent's hand. Yeah, so excellent card. We could also end up with Chimes. So I think we want to take advantage of that as well. But that's so very likely right now, actually Prophet is a pretty solid card for this deck. Ramping up, playing Prophet, and then very good chance of getting Urnaz with what we could possibly get. Either Urnaz or maybe Chimes. Even a Malice Demon wouldn't be that bad. Probably the worst thing we could get is Gigantosaur. That's probably the worst thing. Getting another Prophet wouldn't be that great either because it's not going to get the come into play ability. So we're not going to get 3 more Prophets. Terabot, of course, is a pretty solid flyer, but we want to get like Urnaz or Chimes. But I mean, with four cards, and there's like, what is this, eight of these 7-drops that are just in the game right now. This might be the best time to play this deck and try to get it to work because that's your chances right there. It's like 1 in 8 on each of them. Chance of getting Urnaz, or you could look at it as let's see. So if we're saying 4 of them, so half the time you're going to get a good card if you're counting Urnaz, Malice Demon, Storm Colossus, and Chimes. We don't even have to count Zito, so that's like 1 in 7 for each one of these. So that's like 4 and 7. So that's probably the best combo that people are already running. And I have seen someone try to do this. Unfortunately, it was versus my control deck. So like he got a bunch of things, and I just swept them out anyways. Which is why you want to maybe hold on to Countermagic. So yeah, let's see if we can get 2 or 3 of these guys in here. I was thinking maybe even trying to get into Wild for some ramp, but we'll see. For now, I think we're gonna try to run the. And if you guys have any comments or anything, you are welcome to. I don't see too much chat going on right now, but you guys are maybe just trying to keep up with what I'm doing here. So you're always welcome to give me comments or things. I'm a little bit more focused because I don't have a guest with me right now. So, all right. So we needed to get our champion, which is going to be Bertram. There he is, Bertram Cragraven. I think we're going to try to go dwarfy with this type of deck. Another thing that I thought would be interesting to have in this deck is the one that makes a bunch of robots. I forget what it's called. It's like Robot Factory or something. Factory. Actually, I need to. Is everything off? It should be off. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Workerbot Factory. I thought this might actually be an interesting card for here. It's kind of expensive. I mean, we'll think about it. We're gonna just kind of put it in here for now. It gives us blockers every turn, which is kind of interesting. I do like the idea of having Bird of Plenty in here, so we'll just think about that for a little while. Now we need to decide if we're going to try to go. I'm going to go ahead and put both blood cards and wild cards in here for now. The blood cards is if we want to sweep out the board. The wild cards will be if we want to accelerate. And I think actually acceleration might be the better way to go. Of course, I do have a soft spot in my heart for playing wild and playing ramp type of decks where you're trying to play these giant effects really fast. So we're gonna try to do some wild stuff. In fact, I need to turn off my sound so it doesn't make the little sounds on my sounds of the phone. That's what my son says all the time. Sounds of the phone, Daddy. Sounds of the phone. And he brings my phone over to me. Howling Brave could turn into some other better things than Howling Brave. I mean, you know, who doesn't like that? Chlorophyllia could be interesting in here. You know, that's definitely another ramp. We really want to play our big effects pretty fast, I'd say. Let's see. There's something that's making it so like not everything is showing up for some reason. I'm not sure. Oh, it's because I typed in wild. All right, so in fact, we're going to go and turn off the other two shards here. So we'll come up in here and we will turn off the ruby and the diamond. We're going to keep sapphire, wild, and blood. I think deep down in my heart, I really want sapphire, wild to happen for us. It may not though. Why is it that, oh, those are the ones I have on. I see, I forgot. The check marks were the opposite way that I thought. For some reason, I got it wrong. I've been doing this for so long. So I'll definitely put the 4 extinction in here. That's kind of a big deal. Life siphon, again, not really affecting board states, which is going to be a little bit more important for us. We'll put 4 murder in here for now, but I'm not sure. Relentless corruption is another one I think is somewhat interesting in this deck, but it probably isn't going to really fit what we're trying to do. This is maybe just not really what we're trying to do here. Other cards. So other cards we could play in here is we could play a playset of Peak and the card that's a lot like Peak that's in blood. I always forget what it's called because I don't play it very much. So if we play the blood Peak card, and I'm going to find it in a second here. I know I will. That card is the thing about playing that card is you could draw like Extinction and not have a good time to play it, or you could draw something and not be able to play it and it starts dealing damage to you. I'm going to go and find the card here in a minute. No love for Puck and Ramp. I do, but I mean, yeah, I guess Puck could fit in this deck as well. So we'll just go ahead and put him in here preliminary as we're. But he only works with troops, so we do have to keep that in mind. Most of this deck is not going to be troops. I believe it is troops. It says each troop in your hand. So he's probably only going to work if we have Prophet. So maybe if we play a play set of Prophet plus this guy, maybe then it'll work. But very low chance of that happening. You kind of, if you're playing Puck, you're kind of like all in on like 5-drop pluses. I mean, I guess if we play a play set of both Bird of Plenty and the other guy, then maybe we could do it. Play Puck in here. I don't know. We'll see. Even as a one-of, he might be okay with like, you know, a couple of things. Then he might do some stuff. I mean, I have to look at how many troops are going to be available to activate him. Because we are in ramp, we could actually even play Argus in here, which is what I typically play in decks like this. We'll just preliminary. We'll just put a Chaos Key in here because this is another card that sits on the board and does some decent stuff. Shrine isn't horrible for us, but again, I just don't really like it because it's not going to affect our board state immediately a lot of times. It does gain charges, but our charges are just going to make more bots. We didn't choose the one that draws cards. We didn't choose my favorite, Wyatt the Sapper. So this is probably not the card for this deck is what I'm thinking. Time Bug probably not so much. Volcannon, we could probably one of these for sure. I would think is for running dwarves, especially with these worker bot factories. Turreted Wall could be another one we can run in here that can turn into other things later with the deck that can also hold off our opponent. Eurig, another one we could run like 2 of. He is unique, so we have to keep that in mind. Mirror Knight wouldn't be too bad in here because he's going to draw cards, and then like later on he could turn into something pretty good as a 2-drop. We did see that some pretty decent 2-drops that they could turn into. Playing the 4 Peaks. There's a Replicator's Gambit. We're not going to go that crazy. We don't need Thunderbird. Research Librarian. We'll just preliminary. We'll just throw like 2 of them in here. I'm not sure if they're going to make the cut. They probably won't. So in the wild spectrum, most of what we're getting is like ramp. Eye of Creation is another one we could look at for this deck maybe. Is it still... Oh, it's only troops, though, right? Yeah, it's each troop. So Eye of Creation is probably not going to work for this deck because we just are not going to be heavy on troops if we're sweeping. But I guess maybe if we just go Wild and Sapphire, maybe we could be heavy on troops. I don't know. We'll just we'll just put it there for a minute and we'll see what happens. Jadiim, of course, another dominant card if we decide to go wild instead of blood. Inquisitor, we probably wouldn't want to get transformed too much. Yeah, I mean, if this card gets transformed, it's not great, but it is a card that's usually going to be there. I don't know. We'll think about Inquisitor. Even in this deck, I mean, it's not horrible because it could transform into something else after we play it. Also, it is ramping up, so the second time you play it, it'll be 6, so you'll get a 6-drop for it instead of a 4-drop when you transmogrify. So that's pretty good. You could turn your Xentos Inquisitor into like, what's his name? Whatever the guy is called, the Fist of Brigadon. You could turn him into Fist of Brigadon. There's a chance, or you could turn him into another Bird of Plenty. One of those two things is going to happen. What else could we do in here? Heavy Welding Bot's pretty good dwarf card. Dwarfy dwarf, you know, like Marky Mark, but you know, with dwarves. We got Oracle Song, you know, just to draw the cards. Sapphire Shard, it's going to sit on the board, and it is removal. It's decent in the dwarf deck. Got the Research Library. That's another one that I think is pretty good in here. Sliver of the Immortal Spear is probably not what we're looking for in here. It looks like I need to refresh my page, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So just give me a second here. Sometimes the page does this. When it is that it starts, you see the thing spinning, it means that it's thinking about something or whatever. So back on it. Back to where we were. Okay, so Surge Mechanism I think was a good choice, but I probably just one of it. Technical Genius, we'll just preliminary. We'll just put, you know, a play set of those in here along with the Research Adept, but we may or may not play these. I'm not sure. A lot of the dwarfy stuff is pretty weak. Like, this is a 1/2 body for 2. We would definitely like to get this guy in, and then like when he becomes less relevant, use our Transmogrify to turn him into like Totem or something like that. Let's see, what else have we got in here? I do like the idea of Wizard, but I think that he's another one that probably won't make the deck. We probably want at least 2 to 3 Countermagic. We're just gonna put 4 in there for now. It's a good thing I have so much time, because you know this deck is going to take, this takes a lot of thought to put a deck like this together, because Cosmic Transmogrifier is one of those big effects that is just really difficult. Another great card is Shroomshaw, which is going to survive past the extinction, and then we can Transmogrify those 2 battle bunnies into something better than 0/1 bunnies. That seems pretty good to me. Time Ripple, probably not so much. We're just preliminary. We're just going to put in the 4 Shards of Fate right now. Get on some of the other shards. Probably don't want to run Battle Beetle in here. What else? Incantation. What else could we get? Gearsmith, Claw. Not really seeing a lot of other things. Bottle wouldn't be horrible in here because it's going to help us rip through the deck, and then we can trade it for something. Construction Plans, if we're dwarfy, I mean, I guess maybe. Induction Coil, probably not so much for this deck. The other, I believe the other guy's running it, but again, he's running Wyatt the Sapper, so he's going to get those card draws off of it. Probably not the best. Yeah, they're really not. I mean, the 1-cost card that we're transforming, probably not the best, but you know, we are playing Bertram Crag, so I mean, we are getting some of those 1-cost cards. There's a couple of them that might be okay. I don't know. We'll see. Could run Sorrow. You'll probably run Sorrow in your reserves anyways, so I'll just put those on the reserves for now. I mean, you're probably going to run Sorrow in almost all your reserves for quite a while when you're running Blood to be, you know, anyways. What else we got? We got Elder Streamer, probably not so much. Monkey we talked about, so we'll go ahead and just preliminary, just throw him in there. This is taking a lot of work to get this deck together. This was a good challenge. Crashing Beast is really interesting in a deck like this to me, because this could make a lot of 3/3s, which could get transmogrified into something other than Rhinos. I really like the idea of that actually right now. So that's really pushing me towards Wild a little bit more. We might end up going Wild. I think I really want to go Wild right now. And just, you know, and not, you know, lift up my shirt so you guys can, you know, not like that. Yeah. So, what else? We got Chimes. Incantation of Ascendance, you know, just preliminary. We'll just kind of throw that in. Oken Ceremony could be okay. Maybe if we run a lot of troops. We're running Transmogrify though, so probably not what we're looking for. Actually, we're probably not really looking for that Oken Ceremony. Giant Caterpillar is okay, but not the best. Inquisition, if we go into Blood, you know, that's definitely on your reserves anyways, so but you probably won't main deck it. Bird of Plenty we talked about, we like him. Splinter, what else? Pack Raptor, probably not so much, because Pack Raptor doesn't give us multiple Pack Raptors when we play it. It just shuffles multiple Pack Raptors into our deck. So because it doesn't give us lots of dudes on the board, it's definitely a no-go. Zedu, and I completely missed that Blood card that I was looking for, where it's like, I think it's like 3. I think it's a basic action. Hold on, I can probably find it more easily this way. Let's see. If I turn off all this stuff, turn on Blood, turn off no color, basic action. It is a basic action, I know that. It is Infernal Professor. So this is another one we could run if we run cards in our deck where as soon as we draw them, we want to play them all the time. That's the only clunky part about playing this. It says take those take a non-resource card from your deck, put it in my hand. It gets cost -2 at the start of my turn. It deals 2 damage to me. So basically, this is a lot like playing Peek, except that I don't get to choose which card I'm getting, and it looks at the whole deck. Not the best, but you know, it's a thought. I've seen some people try it. So let's look at what we've got in the deck. Of course, our curve is all over the place. We've got 116 cards to get rid of. Whew, it's a lot of cards. So, all right. So we need to make a decision here. So let's start weighing. What do we want? Do we want the Blood or do we want the Wild? You know, we're playing Bertram Cragraven again. I do want to try to make this Workerbot Factory thing happen for us. So ramping into some of the stuff that we could get for them, I mean, I really like the idea of that. I think the big selling point for me playing Wild is Crash of Beasts, because if you happen to play 2 of them and then you Transmogrify, I mean, you're getting you should be getting decent card advantage versus your opponent, hopefully. So I think we're going to try going that direction. Plus we can play more troops and we can play Puck, because I know Chippy Stick wants me to play Puck in this deck really badly. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. If there's any objections, you guys need to say so now. Looks like we've only got 6 people in channel. Like I said in my tweet, if I get 20 people in channel, I will do a beta key giveaway. In fact, I might feel generous enough that if there's only like 1 person in here that doesn't have beta access, I might just give it to that person, if I feel generous enough at the end of the program. But we're going to go ahead and get rid of the Blood stuff, because I think we already saw that. We saw a pretty good deck here made by Aswan Jaguar, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. That's deck number 7129 in the HexCTG browser and deck builder, made by Aswan Jaguar. Not too many changes I would really make to this deck, so let's go to the Wild, because that's going to be a little bit more interesting, I think. So we can go ahead and get rid of all of our Blood cards. In fact, we'll just sort by Blood cards in this deck, and then we'll just dump them all. Now, we do miss out on Inquisitor, and I think Inquisitor would be an interesting interaction as well with Transmogrifier. So if you do try playing Blood, I would suggest trying that out and seeing how that feels to you. And also Shroomshaw, I think, is another card that's great in this deck. You know, although Transmogrifier to begin with is kind of more of a fun, non-serious deck to begin with. I mean, this is, to be honest, the deck we're building is it would be lucky to do well in a major tournament scene, but it would probably do okay if you're playing casual, some sort of casual multiplayer format or something like that, I think. So we're already down to 92 cards. All right, so only 32 cards to go. Oh, you know what? I didn't even put shards in here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we'll just put 20 shards in here, just preliminary. Need to turn that off. So we want to put, we'll just go ahead and put 10 of these. We've already got Shards of Fate in here. There's the Blood Shards, and we'll put 10 Wild Shards in here. Oh, actually, I don't want Blood Shards. I want Sapphire Shards. Duh. Come on, get with the program. This is what happens when I don't have a guest on. I have to fill all the space with my own talking, and it gets a little bit crazy. All right, so we need to look at how much stuff is actually going to take advantage of Mirror Knight in the deck. So when we have Robomancer in here, he's going to make these warbots, and they're getting transformed into other things. So they're not going to take, they're not going to necessarily take the Inspire triggers off of Mirror Knight. So we do have to be aware of what he's putting into play. Let's see. A Worker Bot, I believe, is a 1-drop. Yeah. So already it's not looking great for Mirror Knight in this deck. Although he is going to draw us a lot of cards. We do like Mirror Knight a lot when we're playing Crash of Beast. Crash of Beast plus Mirror Knight seems like a really amazing play. Turn 2 Crash of Beast, turn 3, or turn 2 Mirror Knight into turn 3 Crash of Beast isn't the best, but turn 4 Crash of Beast on top of that is going to be pretty amazing. So that's a pretty nice combo there. Plus Prophet, so pretty good. I think we'll just take Eurig down by 1 for now. I do like what he does for the deck. The Volcannon should be okay at 1. It depends how aggressive we want to be too with this deck and some of the things we're doing. We are ramping, so we do keep that in mind. Eye of Creation is one of the cards we need to decide on. If we decide to play Eye of Creation, we basically have to get rid of a lot of our troops in the deck. So, or I mean the other way around. We need to get rid of a lot of the other cards, and we aren't sweeping the board out, so it's not horrible for us to have troops in the deck right now. So I think we're okay with Eye of Creation in this deck. I think so right now, because like if we can just whittle it down so we won't play Hex Engine, because we don't really need to, because it's less efficient for us than playing some of the wild ramp cards. I think we can play Eye of Creation, so we'll go ahead and buff that up to 4 for now. The 2 Jadiim is just, Jadiim's just dominant all by herself, so I think we can leave her in there just fine. The Peak isn't going to give us a lot of advantage. Let's go ahead and, I don't know if I'm going to, I kind of want it, but I'm not sure why I want it right now though. So I kind of want to just start getting rid of things. We did like having Worker Bot Factory in here, but now with the decision to play Eye of Creation, we kind of need to start cutting a lot of non-troops in the deck. So especially like, because we got Argus, so that's actually going to make, so that decision alone is going to get rid of like Volcannon, Chaos Keys, Worker Bots, possibly Peak, depending. Oracle Song maybe, Sapphire Shard will go, Surge Mechanism will go. Countermagic may stay as a 2 of. Battle Vitae. We're definitely keeping the Crash of Beasts. Construction Plans. Incantation. Bird of Plenty stays. So, yeah, actually, that's going to be like... So that decision alone, if you decide to go a different direction and try to go more dwarfy like we had originally started, then you can't really play Eye of Creation. It's just never going to hit for you. So, in order to get it to hit for us, we really need to play all that stuff, so and not play the other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of things now. So we're going to dump these. We're going to take Chaos Key down to 1. We do like having at least 1 of those. The Volcannon's just not going to be good. We'll probably. I'm holding out. I'm holding out for Eurig right now. I really am. The Turreted Wall maybe go. It's really just not an aggressive piece. I think we'll get rid of Peak. I don't see that really being amazing for us, because we kind of want to ramp into something and play like big troops, big effects with this deck. Research Librarian's not going to do a whole lot for us, because we're kind of cutting a lot of our artifacts now. So chances of us having artifacts to get his cost down are pretty low. So we're going to get rid of them. We may even change our champion at this point by making that Eye of Creation decision right there. So, of course, I'm not getting a whole lot of feedback in the channel. You guys seem to be, I guess, happy. I'll take your silence as happiness right now with the decisions that I'm making. Although, can't say the same of other people in my life. Yeah. So, Surge Mechanism, we get rid of that. We're definitely getting rid of, we're making a lot of decisions now, because based on that one Eye of Creation decision. So that's going to whittle down the deck quite nicely for us. Oracle Song will take down to 1 for now. We can keep the Wizard. We'll take the Countermagic down to 2. Bottle Vitae, we can get rid of those. Construction plans, we'll get rid of that. It's not going to hit that. It won't hit Crash the Beast, but Crash the Beast is just so good we can't get rid of it. It's not going to hit Incantation, so we'll get rid of that. And we got to refresh the deck right now. So I think that should refresh it if I do that. Maybe it'll do it. Looks like it did. Yep, we're down to 72 cards. Look at that. We just cut like 30 cards with that one decision. The one decision to play Eye of Creation in this deck. So it's almost like a double combo. So the interesting thing about playing this deck is we don't really... The card draw isn't that relevant necessarily to us because we're playing troops to play a lot of troops. And so Eye of Creation does that nicely for us because like it's going to get the come into play abilities that we want to see from like Prophet or from Wizard. You know, it's going to get that extra Silver Talon Senator, or Monkey is going to be able to monkey things for us. A lot of, you know, it's going to get those effects. But if we have Cosmic Transmogrifier in play instead, and we never draw Eye of Creation, that's still not that bad because, you know, if we draw Prophet or other things, then we can still play them and then use Cosmic Transmogrifier to get some big effects out of that. Still random, so we could end up, you know, in a bad situation. And plus our opponent's getting stuff too, so it's probably not as good, honestly, as this one, but it should be pretty fun to see some of the interactions and some of the things that can happen with this. We also kind of want to be able to do this all in one turn, and that's 8 resources right there to play the Cosmic Transmogrifier and then activate it. It doesn't have the exhaust symbol on it, as you'll notice, so that means that we can play it and then use the ability on it the turn it comes into play. We also don't really have removal in this deck either, so we do have to keep an eye on that. So we may try to run some sort of removal. The Chaos Key is going to be kind of an important key to this whole endeavor. I still like having Argus in here because he's removal, and he's a troop, so we can draw him. There's also going to be situations where you'll be in where you get to choose when you use Cosmic Transmogrifier. So you know what? Maybe we'll just take that down to 3 because that's going to make it a little bit clunkier for Eye of Creation anyways. I think I'll go ahead and get rid of Oracle Song because we do have card drawing through Mirror Knight. Turret Wall is probably another good easy cut to make here. It does hold out for us. Let's look at our curve. Our curve actually isn't looking that bad right now. We've got 10 cards to cut out of here. Our turn 1 isn't great. We've got basically a ramp into something else to get to other stuff, but you know, we've got a lot of 2-drops and other things surprisingly in here. So it's actually not looking horrible. Since it's a constant, I'm not so easily destroyed, so activating a turn you drop isn't completely necessary. It's not, but at the same time, like maybe I want to do it sooner than later. You know, it depends on what's going on in the board state. Again, this deck especially will take a lot of playthroughs to get a good feel for what you're attempting to do with it. But yeah, there may be a situation where you really want to activate it the turn it comes into play. I know that's going to be a thing with this deck. But the thing about playing this card is like, it's kind of like there are some times when you just don't want to even use the ability because your board state, you're already winning the game. If you're already winning with Cosmic Transmogrifier sitting on the table, there's no reason to tempt fate, you know? So, but if you're not, I mean, you can always use it and then use it again and start. You could always keep transmogrifying until you get what you want as well. Or no, you can't because it'll transmogrify itself. So no, you can't do that. You can pretty much only do it once. We're going to take Monkey down to 1 because he could be a little bit clunky for us. Bird of Plenty we'll go ahead and take down to just the 1. Puck we'll go ahead and leave in here because we do have a decent amount of 5-drops in here. I think he's going to do pretty well for us. He is double resource, so that kind of screws things up when I took that the bird down. Bird is the word, as it were. 7 and 5-drops are kind of in a bad spot. So I think we'll go ahead and take Prophet down. We do have a lot of other things that do kind of what he does, but if you do draw him, I mean, that's pretty amazing combo, but he could also be pretty clunky for you. And we've got a lot of other expensive things in here. We've got Argus, we've got Bird of Plenty, a lot of other things. We've got Jadiim, who is probably, you know, for the cost, Jadiim is probably a lot better than Prophet. Down to 63 cards. We kind of need to look at our 5-drop range right now to see if we can cut something. I really don't want to cut Jadiim. Alright, so we need to get rid of a 5-drop here. I'm trying to figure out where the 5-drop is. All I'm seeing is Jadiim over and over again. Where's the 5-drop I should be seeing? Is it Monkey? Is it 3? Are there 3 5-drops? No, it's saying there are... Oh, that's right. It's Cosmic Transmogrifier. I mean, I guess we take it down to 2 then. Because this is the, you know, even though this is what we're designing the deck around, I can't really see us playing 4 of these in the deck, honestly. But this should be pretty fun to play, you know, even though we basically cut that. So maybe we'll cut maybe a 3 or a 2-point card here. We probably want to keep our Mirror Knights. This is going to be an extremely expensive deck to play too, because there's a lot of expensive rares. We've got, you know, the Jadiims, we've got the Mirror Knights are going to be chase cards. The Argus is going to be a chase card, but you know, most of the time you're only going to run 1, to be honest. What else in here? Eye of Creation, another chase card. Crash Beast. This is a super expensive deck, to be honest. Let's see. We need to get rid of 3-drop. Maybe Countermagic, but I feel like we really need these. In fact, you definitely would, if you're running this deck, you would definitely run 2 of these on your reserves part of the deck. I'm still not sold on Bertram. We're going to look at our champions again one more time after we're done with this deck. We've got 2 cards to cut here. I feel like we really need the 24 resources right now. Let's look at our... so we're heavy into wild, actually, so we need to cut like some wild cards if we cut some cards out of here. Maybe the Jadiim. I'm looking at the Jadiim, and I'm thinking that's a possibility right now. I don't want to get rid of Crash the Beast. I like it too much in here. Puck, maybe, but I think Puck is very useful in this deck. Maybe we could get rid of Wizard. What's our 4-point range look like? I mean, that would dip it down, but... I mean, Wizard is definitely worse. And there's a good chance that we're going to skip past the 4-point range anyways. I don't especially like getting rid of Wizard, but it's probably a pretty weak card compared to some of the other drops we've got in here. I definitely like Eurig more than I like Wizard, so... I mean, it's a 1 threshold cost, but we'll go ahead and just take it down. Does give us 2 blockers, which is nice as well. So, I mean, this is an ugly curve. I just don't like the way this curve turned out, but we are kind of running ramp, so hopefully we should be able to turn 1 Resource Dork, turn 2 play Chlorophyllia, so that would be Resource Dork plus 2 shards plus Chlorophyllia puts us at 5 right there, I think, because on turn 3, because we'll drop another resource. So we could skip past the 4-point range and get to the 5-point range pretty easily in the deck. So it should be okay. More resources, the better. So Eye of Creation, of course, is good for us. We're in Wild is another thing, so that kind of makes me want to play a Wild champion. So let's go back and look at champions real quick, and then we'll close out the episode here. Does anybody in the who in the channel doesn't have beta access while I'm doing that? While I'm looking for this champion? Does anybody? Because I haven't given away a single beta key yet. I've got 2. I'm trying to do one on my giveaway for my YouTube. I'm trying to get people to subscribe to my YouTube. But, you know, I think that I would like to get somebody into beta. If there's one person in channel that hasn't got beta yet, because I know a lot of you guys are my regulars in there right now and you have beta access. What am I doing? I'm not looking at champions at all. Let's look at champions. Make it easier. Right. So, Monika'shin. So that's interesting, an interesting choice. I think we might be able to do Monika'shin in this deck, actually. Again, this deck is really super casual to begin with. You might also run Running Deer in here. But I think we'll run Monika'shin because we'll get those battle hoppers, and those can turn from 0-1 battle hoppers into something else, and they can also jump for us. So we'll run Monika'shin in here instead of Bertram Cragraven. If you want more dwarfy, then that's definitely the choice, but because we're so heavy into wild, I think that Monika'shin's going to do better for us, and we'll have a better chance of getting it to happen for us. So, yeah, we're really heavy in wild. We've got 38 wild sources and 19 sapphire sources, so we really kind of need to kind of favor that. You know, this deck definitely needs a lot more work to get it to where it needs to go. But we've got a decent concept, I think, here, and it would be interesting to play. So we'll go ahead and do the resources here. So something probably like 13, probably like 7-13, or maybe even 6-14, because it's super important that if we have a turn 1 dork, that we play him. A turn 1 Howling Brave being the typical dork, because we can turn 1 Howling Brave, and we could turn 2 Mirror Knight or Crash of Beasts there, and then turn 3 you could play Crash of Beasts and maybe play another one, which would be really interesting. The thing is also with this deck, with Eye of Creation, and there's not as many troops as there are in a typical Eye of Creation deck, we might want to play might want to play less less Eye of Creation, or like when you're casting it, a lot of times you're probably going to want to cast it for like 6 to make sure that you hit something, at least 6, I would say. You know, I typically don't even feel good about casting it for 5. When I was casting it in decks that only ran like Eye of Creation and like 4 Chlorophyllia, I still didn't feel good about that even. But yeah, this should be interesting, if anything, to try out. So, you know, try it out. Let me know what you guys think, or let me know what you came up with, or if there were some other different directions to go. There's definitely a lot we could do with this deck. I'm getting no responses on my question about beta access, so I'm guessing everybody has beta access. So we'll just kind of close out the episode here and talk about what we talked about tonight. So thanks for everyone for stopping by. I really appreciate all you guys for coming out week after week. And, you know, even though we didn't have a cool special guest on, we spent a lot of time on this really odd transmog combo deck for Cosmic Transmogrifier. And we talked about some of the hex updates with the auction house, and how it is that, you know, things got pushed back, and hopefully, cross your fingers, we're going to see the auction house next week. We also talked about some of the unnamed council and how they're doing some PVE content. So, you know, get out there and support those guys. These are guys that are probably the forefront of PVE right now, getting out there and doing some stuff within their guild, and, you know, bug them to, you know, maybe get to try it out. You know, if you're really big on the PVE, like I know a lot of people in the community are. And then, you know, again, we did the Cosmic Transmogrifier deck, and that was a lot of fun. Other than that, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless you and your families. Try not to rage too much out there.